Dr. Goller, can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Irwin,
Here.
Mrs. Killian. Here. Mrs. Lohr.
Present.
Ms. Lauer. Dr. Powers.
Here.
Ms. Scott.
Here.
Mrs. Wise.
Here.
Our vision is working together with our community. We inspire our students to discover their talents and rise to their greatest potential. Our mission is building on the strengths of our diverse community. We create an engaging, comprehensive educational environment that supports the growth of lifelong learners. Moving on to the consent agenda.
I move approval. Second that.
Dr. Powers made the motion to approve. Mrs. Lohr seconded that. Can we get a roll call on the consent agenda, please?
Yes. Mr. Irwin,
Aye.
Mrs. Killian,
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr,
Aye.
Dr. Powers,
Aye.
Ms. Scott,
Aye.
Mrs. Wise.
Aye.
Next up is our November accounts payable docket from the Finance Committee.
I'd like to move approval of the Finance Committee docket.
I'll second that.
Accounts payable docket.
Mrs. Lohr made the motion to approve the Finance Committee accounts payable docket. Mrs. Wise seconded that. Is there any questions or comments about the accounts payable docket from the Finance Committee? Seeing none, can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Irwin,
Aye.
Mrs. Killian,
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr,
Aye.
Dr. Powers,
Aye.
Ms. Scott,
Aye.
Mrs. Wise.
Aye.
Dr. Hayworth with donations.
Yes, Board, the administration recommends approval of the following donations to adult education: Meadows Elementary School, Sarah Scott Middle School, Terre Haute North Vigo High School.
Do I have a motion?
Move approval of the donations. Second.
Dr. Powers made the motion to approve the donations. Mrs. Killian seconded that. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Irwin,
Aye.
Mrs. Killian,
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr,
Aye.
Mrs. Lauer, Dr. Powers,
Aye.
Ms. Scott,
Aye.
Mrs. Wise.
Aye.
Mr. Cox, I had to look to see where you were going to be standing.
I'm all over the place today, something new. Superintendent Hayworth, members of the Board of Trustees, administration seeks approval of personnel and professional leave report as presented tonight.
I make a motion to approve the personnel report and leave request.
I'll second that.
Mrs. Killian made the motion to approve. Mrs. Wise seconded that. Can we get a roll call on the personnel report and professional leave request, please?
Mr. Irwin,
Aye.
Mrs. Killian,
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr,
Aye.
Dr. Powers,
Aye.
Ms. Scott,
Aye.
Mrs. Wise.
Aye.
Now we'll move on to our collective bargaining agreement. And the first thing is we'll take public comment on the collective bargaining agreement. I didn't receive any prior notice of public comment, so we'll move on to Mr. Cox. Oh. See what this is, and then we'll move on. Okay, none of these are about the collective bargaining agreement, so we will move on. And Mr. Cox.
Superintendent Hayworth, members of the Board of Trustees, administration seeks approval of the collective bargaining agreement with the Vigo County School Teachers Association. This length of this contract would be a 2-year agreement, 21-22 school year, 22-23 school year. Over those 2 years, we've been mandated to reach a $40,000 starting salary for school first-year teachers. We will meet that requirement from the state this next school year. At this time, we have created a salary schedule with a starting salary this year of $39,000 and topping at $80,000. The first year, teachers will be placed on that grid. To be placed on that grid, we would give them a $1,000 stipend to be placed. For example, if we had a teacher at $40,500, they would be placed at the next highest level. That would bring them up to $41,000. Of that $1,000 stipend that placed them on that agenda or on that grid, the other $500 would come as a stipend. Then they would receive one full step. So they would start it at 40,500, be placed at 41, and then move to 42,000. So over this year, that would be a $2,000 amount that's provided to those teachers that are returning to our school year. That is an ongoing $1,000 for the remainder of that contract. For the second year would get 2 steps. So that $42,000 teacher, and the second year would be moved to 43, and then 44. So over a 2-year agreement, there would be $3,000 added to the base salary of each returning teacher, with $1,000 coming as a stipend in some form or fashion that first year. Also with that model, we have provided a retirement incentive. That retirement incentive for teachers that has submitted their retirement this year by December 10th would receive $25,500 added to their 401 retirement account. They would receive that half by the end of December and the second half in June. Instead of receiving a full $25,500 initially, it's spread over those 2 installments. Third item on that would be the COVID days that has been set aside for teachers that have received the vaccination. We've heard from the VCTA that we need to protect some of our teachers that have already had the shot and are vaccinated. They would be able to utilize 5 days out of a bank, and that is once they have submitted papers of being vaccinated and applying for that, it would grant them 5 days. That would not be utilized of sick days or personal days of their own. That committee is based of the Human Resource Office and members of the VCTA that's appointed by the President at that time. Also, within that package is a contribution to the HSA and maintaining the insurance board account for this school year. Once we do that, the HSA for high deductible 1 and 2 would be $400 a single and $600 total. And that would be a summary of the agreement for over the 2 years. We worked with the Neal County School Teachers Association very closely. We began this process in early May and have really good conversations. And I'm pretty excited about the agreement. I'd like to thank the board president right out here with us today. I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do I have a motion or a second? Then we can ask Mr. Cox questions.
Move approval.
I'll second that.
Dr. Powers moved approval of the collective bargaining agreement. Mrs. Lohr seconded that. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
There are also additional incentives for advanced education, correct?
That is correct. With that compensation model, right now there was not anything. In that single file, 39,000 to 80,000. If you were to receive your master's this year and submit the paperwork to the Human Resource Office, it would be granted a $2,000 stipend for master's. Your PhD would be $4,000. Those would be ongoing as long as you maintain the master's and PhD for the life of your contract.
Does that include teachers who have already received it? You said, if they receive it this year, that includes teachers who already have that, correct?
Yeah. One other thing I bring to your attention, any person over $80,000 this year would receive the $2,000 stipend. I think that's important to highlight, so they are not out of that. They can no longer increase on that salary schedule. I think that's important to remember.
Could you remind us how we compensate teachers who come in as first-year teachers to the corporation but have experience in other places?
Right now, before this contract, there would not be compensation. At this time, with this compensation starting next year, we would be able to recognize up to letter E, step 5 of a outside experience, as long as it does not pass anybody within our corporation, and that would be with the blessing of the VCTA.
Okay. And how many steps total are there? Oh, sorry.
That's a good one.
I mean,
41.
41?
41?
2? 41.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm not gambling on that tonight.
No, that's okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We've had a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call on the CBA, please?
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Ms. Scott? Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Dr. Gold, you can stay there if you want to. You don't have to go all the way down the steps.
I appreciate it. Good evening, Mr. Irwin, Dr. Hayworth, and members of the board. Tonight we bring you a grant entitled Build, Grow, Learn Stabilization Grant. We're requesting approval in the amount of $432,139. These are non-competitive grants designed to provide short-term funding to early education programs that have faced increased costs and challenges brought on by COVID-19. You see the schools that are listed there: Farrington Grove, Fuquay, Terrytown, Riley, Little Braves, and Vikes and Tykes. And these funds were determined and available to us based on student and staff numbers. And you see the areas there: health and safety, personnel, facility, maintenance or improvement, COVID-19 safety, business continuation, and mental health supports. And Dr. Fenton and Mrs. Bennett would work with the schools to determine the best cost effectiveness for spending those funds within those particular buildings.
Thank you, Dr. Goller. I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for us to accept the Build, Grow, Learn Stabilization Grant.
I will second.
Mrs. Wise made the motion. Mrs. Killian seconded that. Any questions for Dr. Goller before we have a roll call? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Ms. Scott?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Dr. Hayworth with Circle of Honor.
Yes, for the administration seeks approval tonight for the creation of a Circle of Honor. A group of community members really for the last 6 months has been working on bylaws for the formation of this Circle of Honor. You have a copy of those bylaws in your board packet. Circle of Honor recognizes a wide variety of accomplishments among people who have brought honor to our school district. The Circle of Honor will include a diverse range of honorees in background, age, experience, and historical significance of achievement. I'd remind the board that we currently have 3 Hall of Fame types of organizations for our 3 high schools. We do not have something that takes a look at the entire school district, and we believe that this does exactly that.
I entertain a motion if you want approval, correct?
Yes.
I entertain a motion for the Circle of Honor.
I'll make a motion to approve the Circle of Honor.
I'll second that.
Mrs. Wise made a motion to approve. Mrs. Lohr seconded that. I have a question, Dr. Hayworth.
Sure.
You had told us before, so I just want you to be able to say it again, that this does not use corporation funds at all.
No, this would not be a use of education or operation funds.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Hayworth? Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Ms. Scott?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Dr. Hayworth. Dr. B, with the calendars?
We have public comments first.
Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have any public comments on the calendars. Go ahead, Dr. B.
Good evening, Dr. Hayward, members of the School Board of Trustees. I would like to present to you for your consideration the school calendars for the next 3 school years. These calendars would encompass the 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024, and the 2024, 2025 school years. I'm the chair of the calendar committee, which consists of representation from all employee groups, the School Board of Trustees, and parents. We began meeting last winter to discuss the future calendars, and after much discussion and debate, we have decided on the 3 proposed calendars that are before you this evening. In addition to the discussion within the committee, we took the extra step of polling our teachers, which confirmed much of the work conducted last year. The committee created a framework of ideas that we attempted to adhere to throughout the process. Chief among were some basic tenets with the primary objective to start late and ending before close to as Memorial Day as possible. I believe that for the most part we succeeded in adhering to these guidelines. In each of the 3 calendars, we start in the 2nd week of August and end around Memorial Day. Another concept that was discussed was a full week off during Thanksgiving break or a full week off at fall break. Although both of these concepts had some support, it was not overwhelming support. Any days that we would add to a break will push the start time toward July or the finish to June, which we wanted to avoid. The committee also agreed that both teacher work days would be front-loaded to the beginning of the school year. We believe that in light of all the state-mandated training, that it would be good to have that time for our staff to complete the requisite training. Lastly, we decided that the high school graduation ceremonies would not occur during Memorial Day weekend. This was a strong recommendation from the superintendent and from the school board. In addition, our committee members also heard the same concern within their employee groups and throughout the community. High school graduation will now occur on the Sunday after Memorial Day. At this time, I will entertain any questions.
Before there's any questions, do we have a motion and a second?
I move approval of the calendars presented for the 3 years.
I'll second that.
Dr. Powers made the motion to approve. Mrs. Wise seconded that. Are there any questions for Dr. B?
So that includes this calendar year that's been resolved as well for graduation day.
That is correct, Mrs. Moore.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we've had a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian? Aye. Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Ms. Scott? Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
I think we not only had a roll call, we had a drum roll as well.
Was the first or the band?
I don't know.
Fast beat.
Now moving on to our call for citizen comments. A reminder, you have 5 minutes to speak. Comments are directed to the board, and they do not involve personnel. Our first speaker is Trenton Cates.
Good evening. How are you guys?
Good, thanks.
I'm here to talk because both my brothers and I've got cousins that have both complained about the mask, how they've been having trouble breathing through them, which I could prove if I had the equipment to do it. Being a union worker, we've got meters. If we go into confined spaces and airflow is limited, then we'll have meters that'll go off. And with the mask, it restricts your airflow. So those meters would go off, you would test that too. So there's no airflow going through the mask like you need to properly be able to breathe. And if particles of dust get in the mask, you're just breathing those in too. It's trapping them more, making it where you can't breathe. And then without proper ways to actually clean them, there's no use. They're just worthless if you can't clean them properly, which most people will not be able to at home, because that takes tens of thousands of dollars of equipment to be able to properly clean them. So therefore, you're just breathing in bacteria that's already old and everything, which is just going to force you to get sick. Because I kind of got sick because of the mask before myself. But I went like 7 years without even having a cold or anything. And I didn't get sick until I had to wear it, because mine started getting a stuffy nose and everything just from work, having to wear it. So my brothers already said they are not wearing the mask anymore. I will not wear a mask if I'm on the job site here, because my company has a job site that they're working on for your school corporation at Otter Creek Middle School. And I went there and saw 3 teachers telling kids to put on masks. None of those 3 teachers had their masks on at the time. And they were making kids wear masks. I will not put up seeing them force them to do that if they can't even follow their own rules. That's enough. No more masks.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Spencer Cates.
I'm here to talk about not wearing a mask because I've had many kids get sick in my class from wearing a mask, and many teachers tell kids to wear masks whenever they don't even wear their own mask. If they don't wear their own mask, then what's the point of kids even wearing their own masks? Thank you, that'll be enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina Edwards.
Thank you for allowing us to come and speak again. So I just want to kind of reiterate what's been going on with, I thought the last couple of meetings, not this past one, that they were going to do a revisit, everyone's going to do a revisit on the COVID, but that hasn't happened. So I thought tonight was going to be another revisit to that. And from what I'm hearing on the news and everything, correct me if I'm wrong, COVID cases have been going down. So it's not a huge spike for Vigo County right now. And I do have a child in the school preparation that he does not want to be at school anymore because of these masks. I think it takes away a lot of their ability to learn correctly. And you talked about, I heard you guys talk about their COVID funding for mental health for our kids. What does that provide for the kids that are having trouble going through this? Not saying that my son's an ADHD person or a child, but there are others out there that are, I'm sure, having a hard time with keeping a mask on. At my son's school, I did get told by the assistant principal that if any student has to be warned, which I understand, the teachers have to keep up with the kids and all of that with, keeping their mask on. But if they're warned more than, I can't remember the exact many times, they are to get a detention. To me, that is not right. If they're pulling that out like this to get some air, I don't see anything wrong with that. And before I forget the rest, they're 2 weeks into school. It was said by the school board that the 8th graders could go without a mask in high school. So not one time in that 2 weeks did my son get sick, had to quarantine, did I hear any of his classmates. But then 2 weeks after they were in school, it was decided let's bring the mask back. Why was that? Was it to get, I don't know, was it for funding? I don't know. But I can tell you that we're fed up with the masks. We're just done. If it comes to a point, and I did talk to the assistant principal about that, we're just gonna have to look elsewhere, private school or something, because this is just, you guys have shown no proof that these masks work. None. I haven't heard nothing. And this whole time that they've, been required to wear the mask. Now, the assistant principal did tell me that if there were teachers not wearing their masks, because my son has said that too. Some of the teachers are, when you go in the classroom, they have them on, then they take them off. I understand it's hard to talk through these things. So when they're teaching, it is hard, so they probably pull them down. But he said, get the names of the teachers and you'll have a talk with them. If they're going to require all to wear a mask, it should be for all. It shouldn't be just pick and choose. In my opinion, honestly, until we see proof that these masks actually work, why put this on our kids? This isn't a law. The governor even said he's leaving it up to the local officials. What's been done? If we keep with this, I'll call it, I don't know, charade, what the heck ever, it's going to continue. It's just going to continue. And I'm very concerned, for my child. Really, I don't know where to go from this point. He does not want to come to school. So, hopefully you guys, look deep down into your hearts. Yes, I know COVID's out there. We cannot hide from a virus. We cannot be in a bubble the rest of our lives. And our kids, from what I'm hearing, are 99.9% of recovering from this COVID. And I understand there may be older teachers now, if they want to wear a mask, fine. But why enforce it on all of our students? We talk about mental health. Let's see what you guys really mean about the mental health. What are you going to do for these students that are having trouble? That's what I want to know. Because at this point, I don't know what else to do.
And that's time. Thank you. That was the last sign up we had. Dr. Hayward?
Yes, Board, I'm requesting a special meeting on December the 1st at Terre Haute South, beginning at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Dr. Hayward. Anything for the good of the cause from board members?
I think you need to take action on my...
Okay, no problem. We can do that. Can we get a motion to approve the meeting on December 1st?
I so move.
Second.
Dr. Powers made the motion to approve. Ms. Scott seconded that. Can we get a roll call, please, Dr. Gold?
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Ms. Scott?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
I will not be there, but my answer is aye.
Thank you, Dr. Goller and Dr. Hayworth. Now, anything for the good of the cause from board members?
I served on the calendar committee, and I'd just like to thank Dr. Balchevich for his leadership with that. There was good conversation from all the members involved, and they really weighed a lot of considerations to come to the dates they finally came to. So they were, it's hard to fit 180 days into with all the parameters that people wanted, but it was kudos to that group, the working group.
I would also just like to add, I think it's important for everyone to remember that we're still under the governor's executive order as far as quarantine regulations are concerned, and we have to stick with that. And that's the calculus that brought us to this point, whether it's the thing that we personally want or not. That's what the state has told us to do. So I just felt like I needed to reiterate that. Thank you.
I'd like to add that we have 3 more opportunities for community meetings about our potential high school projects, and we would really like to hear from the public, so please attend those. There's one tomorrow, and there are 2 on Wednesday, I believe.
So we would really love to see support, at least to come and express your concerns and have questions answered and to hear the presentation.
I would have one last thing. For those that want to stick around for a building tour of Terre Haute North, we'll meet out in front of the office. I would suggest if you got a coat, please bring your coat because we are going to go up on the roof, as well as going into some other places in the building, but I welcome you to join us on that tour.
You can bring the drum along?
I will bring the drum, that way we won't get lost.
All right, our next business meeting is now December 1st, so we'll see you there. Thank you.